Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the worlds of the Imperium as we get into the life on a frontier world. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, and if you have any suggestions, comment down below. Thank our patrons on Patreon for the support. It is because of them that we can put out these videos so often. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the frontier worlds. A frontier world is a planet only recently discovered by the Imperium of Man through either the exploration of the Adeptus Mechanicus Explorator fleets or rogue traders, and is home to a relatively small number of Imperial colonists. The Adeptus Administratum may not have even had sufficient time to fully explore the world and set up an Imperial planetary government. These worlds can serve as a refuge for those who want to escape from the repressive Imperial regimes, though they can also be a destination for those who want to escape its justice, and thus, frontier worlds have a reputation for lawlessness and crime as a result. Frontier worlds occupy the desperate, lawless fringes of the Imperium. Inhabitants quickly learn self-reliance by necessity, knowing that they cannot expect outside aid against marauding humans or ravenous aliens. As always, where there is little Imperial attention, heresy and mutation festers unchecked. Frontier worlds swarm with the violent dregs of humanity. Pirates, bandits, outlaws, and worse, ruling many areas. These planets easily become breeding grounds for rogue psychers, misguided heresies, and vile cults, and can threaten mankind across the wider Imperium should their contagion spread. Whereas life on an Imperial world is harsh and unrelenting, except perhaps for those who are high-born who endure more subtle or insidious burdens, frontier worlds often stand apart. Frequently, there is no Adeptus Arbitus presence on their planet, and the planetary governors might only rule from orbit or from another system altogether. As such, frontier denizens must face many threats on their own, from Xeno raiders to natural hazards to hostile native species or tectonic instability. These worlds are often newly discovered, distant from regular interstellar traffic or trade routes, and settled with incomplete or poor analysis of the planet's dangers. Many were found by accident, uncovered from ancient warp charts, or mentioned in the margins of a rogue trader's log. Frontier worlds might be locations previously inhabited. Many reveal signs of early civilizations, ranging from ancient human societies to long-dead alien empires. These remnants of the past might even be the reason for some settlements, or drive exploration to uncover relics from ancient times. While other citizens of the Imperium might have domestic resources or imports to support themselves, frontier worlders are forced to scrap and scrounge for survival. Many are dependent on, or at least familiar with, Imperial technology, and thus their society becomes a mixture of refurbished devices and native construction. This can lead to near barbaric existences, with tribes of chain axe-wielding renegades attacking settlements for precious promethium, or lasgun sentry arrays guarding isolated homesteads from predatory creatures. Still, frontier worlds always seem to attract new settlers. Many come to the borders of the Imperium, seeking escape from their local religious authorities. Some might wish to worship the Emperor through means that are heretical or deviant from their original homeworld. On a frontier world, they might be able to establish their own sect, and in time, perhaps make it the world's version of the Imperial Creed. Those whose worship of dark entities would rightfully earn them the burning pyre and torturous deaths also seek their version of religious freedom on these frontier worlds. Escaping to a world where there are fewer prying eyes or torch-wielding mobs, these cults might conduct their foul rites openly or even establish control over a settlement. Many seek out frontier worlds for the lucrative possibilities they offer. There might not be signs of obvious riches, but there could be Xeno relics, useful native species, or even wonders from the dark age of technology, all waiting to be uncovered. Not all frontier worlders choose their homes willingly, or in search of a better life. Hive populations can be tithed to populate a newly established world, and entire hab blocks might be stripped bare to begin new lives away from the conforming crowns and metal cities. Penal legions could also be used to establish footholds on these empty planets, all understanding that their lives might be grim, but still better than certain death on the battlefield. Existing on the edge of Imperial law, and often outside of the commandments of the Imperial Creed, frontier worlds can develop a heretically relaxed attitude towards aliens. Locals wielding Xeno weaponry and living in habitats crafted for non-human entities is very common. Some frontier outposts even openly trade with traveling Xenos, thus spreading the taint of the alien. This acceptance of the impure can also extend to mutated humans or unholy witches. For frontier worlders, survival requires terrible alliances, with lives saved at the cost of souls. To live on the fringe is to exist in shadows, and in these shadows, heresy breeds. Existence on a frontier world may not be as extreme as a death world, but still fraught with peril. Those who survive learn to rely on themselves, but can still go on to act as part of a wider society in the Imperium. Given the scarcity of any clearly worthwhile resources, even raw manpower, most of these planets are tithed at a relatively low grade. Raising new Astra Militarum regiments might only happen once a generation. For many, the only regular contact with the Imperium might be visitations from the Adeptus Astra Telepathica and its league of black ships. Where proper Imperial oversight or societal watchfulness is lax, uncalled psychers can exist or breed with impunity for Terran years before discovery, giving them time to increase in power and danger. This also is true for those twisted in body as well as mind, with physical mutations both subtle and grossly untamed, especially in wilderness areas. Combating these deviations, missionaries of the ecclesiarchy often look to these worlds to bring the faith and ire of the Emperor to those who have strayed. On other frontier worlds, the natives retain their sense of self-reliance and refrain from becoming part of any organization, living for themselves according to their own code, as countless other frontier worlds do. Situated at the edge of the Calixis sector is the frontier world of Vaccinate, a poorly supplied, desperate world struggling to enter the inner circle of the sector's planets. It has decent mineral outposts and considerable exports of meat and fish, but it fights to survive. Its 3 billion people answer to Lord Vaccinate, scion of House Vaccinate, which has holdings on Scintilia, Malify, and Regulus. The economic degeneracy of Vaccinate results in it being a generally lawless, dangerous frontier world, especially beyond the precincts of the central hive city of Vaccinhive. The planet is especially famed for its porcelain, glass, and fish products. It also has the site of a shrine of St. Drusus, where miracles are said to occur. Rumors say that a hidden city exists in the canyons of the dense equatorial jungles. The city is said to be a mirror of the Lucid Palace, populated by phantoms of the actual Lucid Palace's denizens. All expeditions into the jungle area have ended in failure, with few members returning alive. Those who survive are usually insane, raving of Grey Death stalking them, or simply ending their lives in a variety of messy ways. At the very edge of the Equithan Deeps, in the northern Segmentum Ultima, near the border of the Ghoul Stars, sits the frontier world of Orask. Orask is garrisoned not only by its own feudal, warlike people, a stoic breed who, much like the people of Cadia or Mordian, have long become accustomed to war, but also by many Astra Militarum regiments, and even special detachments of Adeptus Astartes Titan legions, who rotate through deployment there on a rolling basis. Such a powerful garrison is needed to man its planet-wide network of defenses, and along with forces from the Imperial Navy's Battlefleet Ultima, sally forth into the surrounding star system should the need arise, for Orask is a world where conflict is never far away. Situated at the nexus of one of the few viable warp routes through the deeps, Orask has for millennia been a battlefront and bastion that has guarded the Imperium from the terrors beyond. In the 41st millennium alone, the defenders of Orask have held out against the savage attacks of Orc marauders, Chaos Space Marine warbands, and the assault of a previously unknown Xenos species, and the Dark Mechanicum. The most terrible assault on Orask in recent times occurred when a splinter of the eastern hive fleet of the Tyrannid Menace appeared. Disoriented and twisted by its passage through the Ghoul Stars, it fell on the Orask system like a ravenous beast. A great battle ensued on the frontier world, which proved brief but bloody. The stoic defenders of Orask were backed by a full company of the Red Talon Space Marine chapter, and a Titan maniple from the Legal Magna. Despite horrific casualties that reached into the tens of thousands, sustained within a mere matter of solar days, the valiant defenders were able to push back their monstrous attackers. Eventually, they contained the threat and purged the vile Xenos from Orask's blasted surface. However, evidence persists that the Harbinger organisms escaped to the outer system. And those were 40 facts on the frontier world. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you guys use. It helps out the channel when you do so. What's cool about the frontier worlds is that they're better. They're better than like hive cities or hive worlds. They're better than dead worlds. They're definitely better than feral worlds that we talked about a couple days ago. So when you live in the Imperium, you better hope that you get close to a frontier world. It's kind of like the Wild West. Yeah, you have marauding aliens and evil cults, but you have that pretty much everywhere. So would you rather be in a factory working from your birth all the way to your death, or would you want to be in a frontier world, kind of like trying to survive and see if you can make a living, basically in the wilderness? And again, you do see that there's a difference between the frontier classification. The frontier classification just means that it's on the edge of the Imperium, and it's kind of like building slowly. So you have a planet like Orask, which seems to have a lot of people, and then Vaccinate, which does not. But the fact that it's in the front lines means that it's a frontier world. And the other important thing to note about frontier worlds is that there's hope. You don't really find that in most planets in the Imperium. In a frontier world, there seems to be resources that could be exploited. There seems to be freedoms for innovation that can actually be utilized that you don't get from like other worlds that are more civilized, you could say. So it's interesting. I hope you guys are enjoying us redoing all these worlds of the Imperium. It's been a while, so it's fun to talk to you guys in the comment section below about these worlds. If you guys have any suggestions for other planets that you guys would like us to talk about, comment down below. If you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. If you want to support us on Patreon, it's a simple $1 a month, link in the description, and it helps us create videos for you guys. But again, thanks for everything, and I will talk to you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.